Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
guys.
to the Situationship Circle. I am one of your moderators, Norman Devar, and I am here with the lovely
Tony Breon, the second moderator for this
Yes.
table.
So we just wanted to come to you guys and tell you a little bit about how it works. Tony, tell them about how it works.
Okay, so we have a cast of about 20 people
20.
that we hang out with from time to time to talk about race, sex, politics, religion, anything under the sun. So if you see somebody on the side, it doesn't mean that they're not important. It just means that we picked 6 people to sit with us that have strengths in that topic that we're talking about.
So they can have a seat at the table.
Just for a little bit.
Okay.
Now, if you see somebody on the side picking up an emoji, then we can tell you a little bit about
Let me tell you about these emojis. So we're using these emojis to help the people on the outside kind of personify the things that are going on in their head. Like, I can't agree with that. Yes, I agree with that. Listen, you better speak quick because I'm almost done. So we got a couple emojis out here going on. Also, we got something called a flag.
Yes, I love the flag.
The flag on the play. That means then in turn, whoever is speaking in that moment has to stop. It's over. So that person has to stop, and whoever threw the flag, they now have 60 seconds to prove a point. So they now have 60 seconds to shut you down and to say whatever it is that they need to say to turn around whatever you was trying to say. So, Tony, you also know we got the cards, right?
Yes, we have the cards.
So, with the cards, that's how we figure out who's going to go first.
Pretty much.
Who is going to speak on which topic and how it's going to work.
That's never pre-planned.
Never.
So what we'll do is, this is Norman's job.
we randomly shuffle the deck of cards and we put them on the table, and everybody who has a seat with us at the table for the moment gets to select a card, and whoever has the ellipses,
the 3 dots.
Yes, the 3 dots. They'll be able to speak first on the subject.
And it better be good.
It better be good.
So without further ado,
welcome to the Situationship Circle.
Don't be too eager.
I just want to know. Alright. So let's just dig right in. Let's go ahead and do it. So we want to know, we're going to talk about monogamy. Tony, what's our first question?
Okay, so our first question is, what does monogamy mean to you? Is it possible to be with one person for the rest of your life?
For the rest of your life.
Is that a thing in 2018? Are we doing that nowadays? I don't know.
Let's turn it back
on. Let's turn over the card. Do it.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Kiana, so can you be with one person the rest of your life?
I could be with one person the rest of my life. I don't feel like it's in everybody though. I really don't. I feel like you have to be like ready. My parents have been married for 32 years.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, they met when they were teenagers. So I've seen it, like, and it's not easy by any means. Is it easy? I feel like you have to find someone that you are like compatible with, like on every level, because otherwise you're always going to be like searching for the missing pieces that you feel like you need.
But is it possible to be compatible 100% with somebody on every single level? Because people are so different.
Maybe not initially, but like a part of like the growing process is like being willing to morph or like compromise to become the person that the other person needs, because that's what love is, like being selfless and for someone else.
I kind of disagree with that, because love is not just a feeling, it's not just being passionate or whatever. Love is a commitment. I've been married for a year, and like it's not just, oh my gosh, I love you. I feel like butterflies. No, that's not it. It's like, oh, I can't stand you, but I'm gonna choose to love you today because I'm committed to you, and I'm gonna love you through this situation. So, but I do agree with part of what you said.
I don't feel like that's different than what I said. Like I feel like it is like the commitment part is what keeps it long lasting. But I feel like the commitment too can take 2 people that aren't compatible in every area and make them want to work on those things that they're not compatible.
Okay, so since we're talking about compatibility, let's talk about some of the things that can shake up a household. So we're talking about people that are willing to make certain, well, are we saying sacrifices? Sacrifices, right? So what happens, right, when you're in this beautiful relationship and your spouse says, you know what, I love you, but I need more. I need something else. What does that look like for you? Do you think you'll be able to oblige? I guess it would depend on what it is. So let's come up with
I'm gonna say, what's this more? I don't know what this more is.
So let's just say,
You better take this mic.
The thing about it is, when it comes to relationships, you have to be able to understand that it's an intimate thing. It's experimental. So if your partner comes to you and says, I need more, it's up to you to be like, okay, what do you need more of? Do you need more head? Do you need more a different experience? Do you want another person involved? Do you want someone to satisfy your fancy different than I do, or just with me? That's what it is. It's a commitment. It's a comparison.
Okay, I have a question then.
Okay.
So, say your partner then says, like, yes, I need more head, but not from you. So, but this is the But I mean, there are married couples.
wait a minute, when you look it all.
I'm gonna throw the flag at everybody.
So what happens, guys? What happens?
The gag is, if my man told me that he needed more of what I didn't do, it's up to me to step up to the plate. If you feel like somebody else can give you what you want, let me try, let me attempt, let me love you intimately and give you what you want, so you don't feel the need to go to someone else. The thing about it is, when you progress in a relationship sexually, when you're doing what you need to do and you grow more, you want to do more things. Right. Someone who dates may not want to do a threesome, 3 years later, babe, it's time. So it's a change. It's a.
Wait.
I just think it's very interesting how this conversation just got on sex. Like, sex is like the most important thing in a relationship. I just feel like,
Wait, you got a minute. Come on now, everybody be quiet. Talk, speak up.
thank you. So I mean, there's so many other things in relationships that like need healing, need growth, need like attention other than sex. Like, I'm just curious, like, why you decided to choose sex as the thing, more head is the thing that your partner might need.
If it needs
I don't have a problem with sex. My thing is that there's more in a relationship than just sex. The question was, if your partner needs more from you, how do you compromise? How do you adapt to this desire of more? More what? The question was super broad. More affection, more love, more attention, more spontaneity. I mean, there's all kinds of things where people fall short in relationships other than in the bedroom. So I was just wondering why we were being so overly simplistic. Not trying to call out any names, Kyron, but the conversation got real simple real fast.
Why is it that we go straight to sex? Is sex not a main thing in 2018? How quickly do we get to the conversation with sex when we're texting somebody or when we meet somebody?
I don't play that quick sex. I don't play that. You do not bring up sex. No.
Hold on 1 second, but hold on, let me hear what Emma got to say. She over here, she's got
I just believe that there's way more in a relationship, especially when you're trying to build a legacy. It gets a little bit more different. See, sex, I say, is maybe 20% of what you need to work on in a relationship to establish something that's completely positive, to build a family, to be able to take that down in generations. So let's throw that one.
The thing about sex is, when you bring it up, and as an example, if you want to branch off to spiritually, for example, to go to relative terms, if my man told me he wanted me to pray more, go to church with him more, let's branch off and expand that horizon as well. So sex was an example, but not the picture. Legacy-wise, spiritually, whatever you need is what you need, and what I'm willing to adjust to is a sacrifice.
I believe so. I do think that we all have what we call shit, and it's what you're willing to accept, because we all have it. So who are you going to work with to get there? You're not going to be compatible with anyone completely. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to figure out where is the win, and is this person worth going through those storms with? So I think that we need to look into ourselves and build from the inside out before we decide to be with someone, because later down the line, it's going to be like, well, I could have been, and I should have been, and I would have been. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about these relationships. So when is it okay, since we're leaving the concept of sex behind, when is it okay to end or step out of a relationship? And it doesn't have to be sexual, because we know that cheating is an act that is non-sexual sometimes. We all know the person that goes to work and buy lunch for all the women at the office because his wife won't let him come home and man up, right? So let's talk about that. So you need to get to know him, Tony, because he'll buy you lunch, girl.
Lunch ain't the problem. I'm just trying to figure out where he at the
Girl, he around. But let's talk about that. So Colton, tell me about it. Like,
when it's the right time to end.
When is the right time to cheat? When is that okay?
I don't necessarily believe.
Gotta get you caught up.
So it ain't never.
No. I'm just saying. This is just my perspective. Just my perspective. I'm not gonna get into a relationship if I still feel like I want to mess with other girls. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep doing my thing. I'm not even starting the relationship.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, no. Once I get in, I don't get in a bunch.
Oh, okay.
I've only been in a couple in my life, but when I'm in one, you know what I'm saying? I'm tunnel vision.
You in it to win.
Yeah, and if I feel like I'm gonna cheat, and I'm trying to work through it or something of that nature, if that feeling keeps coming up, something's not right with the relationship.
So
I might have to step away.
Well, let me play on that for a little bit. So what happens when let's be a little more serious. What happens when you're in a relationship and your spouse is in an accident? Your spouse mentally is still there, but physically can't fulfill any of your needs.
You're just trying to make me like a bad person.
I'm not trying to make you look like a bad person, but it's the reality.
To prison, like what?
Are you supposed to shut down?
If my girl goes to prison,
If she go to prison,
we're probably gonna break up. Because if she went to prison, yeah, we're gonna have to break up. Yes, you do have needs, and I do feel like, God forbid, I got married and my wife got in an accident, but she'd have to understand that I gotta live life too. What? And there are things that I need. No, I'm gonna stay with her. I'm gonna just see if she's cool with, me doing my thing elsewhere.
The thing about
bro, if we could have sex ever again,
yeah.
And I was like 28, 29.
You can get creative.
But that's the thing.
What's the extent of the accident?
When you get married or when you're not married, you can get really creative with sex. You know what I mean?
I saw that on Star.
There's things like you can look at each other.
What?
You can what?
Wait the flag. Ain't gonna be no looking.
You can look at my man and be like, baby, come. No, it's not going down.
I was just trying to be honest to be realistic. I don't think I could. Then I would be cheating.
Okay.
Hey, sometimes the truth is hard, man. Sometimes you gotta be honest with yourself. 29 years old, 30 years old, and my wife can't do anything. Like, God forbid, paralyzed waist down. She'd have to understand that I still have needs. I mean, and that won't change.
But let's talk about this though. Let's say when some real stuff happens. Let's say, all right, we got two people. They are both successful. They are both out here grinding, right? You on the West Coast, he on the East Coast, she on the East Coast. Y'all both going to get it. Y'all both love each other. But y'all know at this moment, I just cannot sexually fulfill that need. What happens? Do you allow that partner to then go, baby, you know what? I love you. As long as you paying all my bills, we good, we together. But you go over there, you sleep. I mean, you sleep with me.
Don't tell me that shit. We're gonna cuss you out. Like, don't tell me. My thing is like, I genuinely believe that people are gonna do what they want to do. You cannot stop somebody from doing whatever it is in this life that they want to do. If you're gonna cheat, you're gonna get your dick sucked or whatever just don't bring that shit home to me. Don't, and I mean in every sense of the word. I can't, what I don't know. No, you can't, hold on. I just want to make it very clear. You can't flag me.
We're going to tag you from the audience. It is hot here at the table. So we're going to tag you. So my first tag in over here is going to be this Chantel.
Hey y'all. Hey girl. I just feel like if you are in a point in your relationship and y'all are feeling sexual urges and one person is not happy and the other person is, as far as
Say that again.
Just say it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, if there's a sexual urge, I think it's a challenge to go a little bit deeper than the surface. If we are in a committed relationship and you have the nerve to tell me about your sexual needs, even though you know I'm physically ill, or even though you know I'm battling depression, or I'm trying to build a legacy, and we talking about sexual urges, it's not necessarily like I'm trying to dismiss what my partner is saying, but it's a personal challenge. I think we should personally challenge ourselves to go a little bit deeper than the surface area, because a relationship is not just sexually based. And if it is sexually based, then y'all need to look at y'all shit together and say, are we together because of the sex? Can we be without the sex? And I think we should introduce celibacy at that point.
In your marriage?
Ooh.
Okay, so thank you for that, Chantel. I don't know how to feel about that. Wait. Okay, but we want someone else from the audience to speak, so we're going to take the mic to Dasha. Because she got her face all messed up over here.
Y'all, the words. Okay, so I don't necessarily agree that if I'm married, I'm not trying to be celibate. So, but I do agree that there's a deeper issue if we're talking about, okay, I'm trying to step out of my marriage, do X, Y, Z. But I want you to tell me though, because if you don't tell me, how are we supposed to fix it? I think that's the problem, is there's not always the communication that's necessary to fix the issues. Like, if you feel like you're not getting what you need physically, I need to know that. If I feel like I'm not getting what I need mentally or emotionally, you need to know that. Otherwise, we're gonna stray, and it's not gonna be good. And if someone brings up an issue, even if I'm sick, I'm having, different issues or whatever, and so I'm not having sex with you or whatever, as often as you would like, I still would like for you to come to me with that so we can have a conversation. We can figure out, what we can do, what we can compromise, what we can figure out. Because again, marriage is a commitment, like love is an action word. So we're gonna need to figure out what we need to do to make this work. Because I'm not with the secrets, and I'm also not with the, you just need to get over the fact that I'm not gonna have sex with you.
But I think we're speaking it like y'all are making it seem like cheating is something that is planned. People don't plan to cheat on their spouse. That's not something that people, you can absolutely stop.
Do they prepare? Do they build boundaries?
No, I do believe that people, like, it happens over time, so it can, it's not, but I don't think it's something that you go out and say, like, today I'm just not feeling my wife's side. Sometimes shit really does just happen. And I think sometimes shit happens.
Hold on, wait. We got organized chaos.
I feel like we're missing out on who here's married? That's right, I'm gonna listen to you. Because she said something like very prophetic earlier. She said, like, relationships are not all about sex, or marriage is not all about sex. And you said it's not all about, what was the second thing you said?
It's not about feeling good.
But feeling good, exactly, right? There's like some practical things, right? If you are living in Los Angeles and this other person is living in North Carolina, if y'all in a marriage, that makes no sense. Like I understand.
I actually just met someone last night.
Wait a minute.
To me, you should not be in a relationship. You should not be in a relationship, a long-term marriage relationship, and there's like a long-term plan to be a part. That far, it makes no sense.
Okay.
I have to stop.
Yes. We got a flag. We got a she flag.
You better put that.
Okay, so let's talk about this. If you're married to someone, right? We're not working 9 to 5s, we're building a company. Okay. Therefore, if my investors say, Amber, you need to be in Los Angeles tomorrow, and you need to be there for the next 6 months so that we can go ahead and do the scalability plan, and you have to stay, and my husband has to stay back in North Carolina and run our headquarters, what do you do then?
Is it worth your marriage?
Is it worth my marriage?
Yeah.
But she got her
While building this relationship, we were building our marriage. Without the ring, I'm probably more married than a lot of people who are married. Because it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of, without the legal form in place, our relationship goes deeper than someone who says, I love you at an altar. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We build every aspect of ourselves and put it in this business and sacrifice every aspect of ourselves to make this business come alive. So you have to understand that transparency is so important. Communication is so important. A ring in 2018 does not mean anything.
To everyone.
She used her 60.
during that comment, there was no shade being thrown at anybody in the audience or anybody a part of the group who was married. You know, honestly, I talked to myself in the car afterwards, and I was just like, you know, I'm living this. You know, I'm living a marriage without the legal or the ring, you know, and that comes with building a business. I have many married friends that always say, you know, when you build a business with your partner, that's challenging because it's not a 9 to 5. You guys can't escape each other for 8 hours. You can't put all of your faith to knowing that you're going to have your financial backing coming from a multi-million-dollar company. No, you have to put all of those things within your partner. So these are the same challenges that we face in these particular marriages, you know. So I really do feel and know that, you know, I might have to go through a divorce when I decide to leave, you know what I mean? Because my divorce may be different, you know. We have to sit here and figure out and talk to our investors and attorneys and, you know, split assets and this and that. So, you know, it's really not anything different, but it truly is something very similar to a marriage.
Something to say, but we also had a check-in before we got there, so we're gonna go over the count really quickly and we'll come back to Jordan.
So I think we're missing one of the biggest points when we talk about cheating, when we talk about relationships, all of these different things. I think we put a lot of expectation on the person that we're with instead of putting expectation on the person that we look in the mirror to every morning. Cheating has nothing to do with the other person in the relationship. That has something to do with you are not right within yourself. You may need more within yourself, and we excuse other people, oh, that person wasn't giving me this, or they didn't make enough money, or they couldn't please me sexually, so that's the reason why I went out. I believe there has to be certain foundational steps before you even get into a marriage, before you get into a relationship in terms of boundaries. And you have to come, like this 80-20 rule, oh, that 80% and then the other person give you that 20. No, you have to come whole to a relationship. If you understand, like Colton said earlier, if I know that I'm not ready to make that commitment, if I know that I'm still getting over my last relationship, if I know that I'm more focused on my career than being in a committed relationship, then those things are you have to be self-aware before you even get into a relationship. Because my parents have been married for 30 years as well, and they had, at a teenager, you don't know if you're compatible to someone. You don't know all of these different things. You just love each other at that point. But I believe that a lot of people want to get married, but a lot of people don't understand what it takes to be married. Like she said, like your relationship has to be deeply rooted into something. And all of those other factors, cheating and these distractions and sex and all that, relationships are the breadcrumbs to our destiny. And if we have someone that we're compatible with or that we can commit to or all these different things, then that is more important than if I'm in LA and she's in Jersey. If I'm in California, what if you have kids in the play? What if you have to stay home with your kids so they can go out and make that company, get that investment, build that scalability plan? I feel like we're missing the mark as a part of this generation on the importance of relationships, and that's what has led to our family structures, because we don't respect nor do we really care much about relationships and the importance that they have in our lives. That's all I have to say.
So are we obsessed with the relationships or the idealistic thing that we think a relationship is? What do you like?
When it comes to generations, when it comes to who is dating and who they're dealing with, the definition of relationship is different to every couple, every person. What works for your couple may not work for me. If long distance, if it comes into play later on, I can adjust. Another couple may not be able to. The norms of relationship that happened in 1900s, early 1900s, that's not the same as it is now. It's different, and it's different for everybody. But you have to communicate. If you don't communicate, you have nothing. That's the base before anything else.
And I would say I do agree with that. When it comes to a relationship, like you said, you have to be transparent, but there has to be an establishment of what you want your relationship to be like. Now, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate, but a monogamous relationship, that's what most folks are looking for. If the couple establishes that, they may add a girl to the situation for a threesome, whatever the case may be, they may do this or do that. That's up to them. I'm just saying, that's up to them. We set our social norms on that's frowned upon, but if that's their choice, if that's what keeps them happy, that's them. That's not your life. You know what I'm saying? So whatever, expectations you set for your relationship, you and your partner have to agree with each other on those. And just I was gonna throw the flag. We were talking about the whole accident thing. I wasn't talking about like being depressed or you know what I'm saying? We got, you're fighting some diagnosis. You said accident. I immediately went to paralysis, neck down, rest of life, Lord. Yeah, I have problems with that. I'd work through it. We worked through it, but I don't think I could just look at it and just be straight. But I just wanted to clear that up. I'm not running from a challenge.
So as we talk about monogamy and everything, let's talk about how we transition from our whole phases, because we all know what it's like to be out here doing what it is that we do. But how do we transition from having those 3 or 4 people that we talk to every day, saying hey you, bye to you, let's go out to lunch with you, to being with that one person? Do we change our number? Like what does that look like?
I actually am going through that right now. Like this took me by surprise, honey. What happened? So I had to get a new number where but it just my phone broke. I had to get a new number and all my hoes are gone. But at the same time, for real, no BS, all of you gone. So, but at the same time, I ended up meeting a guy as soon as my phone broke, and it just so happened that we really really clicked. So it took me by surprise because I didn't think that I was ready to end my whole phase and end the dating part of my life, where I'm just being a serial dater. This guy's taking me to lunch. This guy's taking me to lunch. This guy's taking me to dinner. Ooh, I want sushi, so I'm gonna hit him up because I know he likes sushi. And now it's I'm hanging out with this one guy that does all of that: lunch, dinner, sushi, cooks for me, all that stuff. So it's damn, I think it just happens. I don't think transitioning out of your whole phase or meeting somebody is something that you plan. That shit just happens.
So I just need to go break the iPhone.
Basically,
go get a new one. Girl, but what happens, let's take it a little more serious than that. What happens when you have a business and you have so many other things tied to you and you can't change social media, you can't change your number, you are legit a company within yourself.
I mean, that's
so what does that look like? How do you transition, Kiana?
I don't feel like there is.
Mike, yes.
I don't feel like there is a transition. I feel like if there's somebody that's grabbing your attention, you don't need to change your number. You don't need to delete your Instagram or any of that stuff. I feel like people say social media ruins relationships. It doesn't. People ruin their own relationships by the way that they interact with other people. So someone can be texting me, blowing up my phone, in my DMs, whatever. If I'm not interested in that person, because I'm loyal, so if I'm interested in someone else, none of that stuff phases me. It just doesn't. It's not I need to get a new number. I'm not pressed about them. So I don't care what they want to take me on a trip, they want to take me to dinner, to whatever. I'm not.
Okay.
I think that there is a moment where you're kind of yeah, this is real. I like you and I know you like me. This is legit. So what my husband and I did, I'll never forget it. We sat down on the couch together and we were all right, we're about to call him up. We called everybody that we have been talking to in front of each other. I know who he was talking to, and I know it's over now because I am looking at him on the phone with her.
That's bold as hell, though. I like that.
Bold, but we just had that feeling okay.
That's how you get over it.
I'm about to do that. Give me a phone.
But see, that's the thing. You have to really.
So when we was at the table, the question came up can you call the people? We got on the subject of calling people your exes or your currents or whatever because you get in a certain place in your relationship. I couldn't imagine in my whole entire life somebody call, hello. We can't deal with it. Okay. We can't deal with each other no more because they getting married. That's bullshit. I don't feel like you have to call people and do all of that extra stuff. If I love you, I love you. You know what it is. I know what it is. If I love you that much, by the time we got to this place, I would have already cut everybody else off anyway. So if I got to do that, then it's no point in us being here because why am I still getting texts? I cut people off after I got serious about you. I'm not doing that. That's bullshit. That's garbage.
I'm calling my damn self. Whoa.
It may not work for everyone else.
Right,
When it comes to getting out of your whole phase, my whole phase was amazing. But I stopped.
Let's talk about it.
I'm 20 years old. My hoe phase was amazing.
You said how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Oh, your hoe phase is over?
My hoe phase was.
You got a second one coming.
There's
your best life
coming soon. But my thing is, when you realize your hoe phase and you understand to what degree that you want to go to, when you find a different feeling or you want to settle down, you don't want to play around anymore. At the time, you look for something different. You don't look for something temporary. So it's different for everyone. When I decided, okay, I'm looking for something different, I had to change it myself. I grew up faster than the average 20-year-old. I'm not the same. Right. I want to date. I want to go for something long term. So it's for who you are. It's not.
It's you're basically saying it's circumstantial. Like
it is. It's circumstantial.
Yeah.
It is.
1 second, we gotta tag in.
Yeah.
Short.
Don't just go.
Okay, see, for me, you have to make a personal decision not to, because last time when we were together, we talked about exchanging of energies, right? With the people that you are with, what is it called? Soul ties, right? So not even in terms of just being in a relationship with someone, a monogamous relationship, you have to make the choice to not connect yourself to so many different people. That's why, it's more than just like a hoe phase. You gotta be very conscious about who you choose to give your energy to in any kind of way. We're all intelligent people. We know that who you surround yourself around really affects who you are, right? So that's kind of what affected me in terms of like having like a whole bunch of people on my line, or like having so many people that I deal with. So it's beyond just like, oh, I can't be in a monogamous relationship because like I know I'm gonna cheat or all this. As a person, like personally, I make the choice not to have a whole bunch of people in my life, like a lot of people, in my space.
As a part of our generation, this ideology of having a hoe phase. Like, what is this? Like, when did that become okay? Like, what happened to a virtuous woman? What happened to like a respectable man that can say no, that can have self-control, that doesn't?
I've done that and it's fun. Yeah. Like, do what you want to do. Like, I'm gonna live my life. I'm living my best life. Okay.
I'm thinking like Insecure, Issa Rae, where we're sleeping, we out, we busting it open, and that's not what was being described. Like, we were describing then a dating scenario where you're like going out with guys and going to dinner, going to the movies or whatever. Those are two different things to me.
And when you single a woman out, it's just like, it's not as if men have not been having a hoe phase. We just call it him doing him, or men just having fun, or he's doing what he has to do before he settles down and get married and start having children. So I think,
as a father myself, I believe that women are held, or should be held, to a higher standard. Being the caregiver, being the people that birth children, being the people that are bearing children. As my son, he looks at his mother as the example.
Do we have to define every freaking thing?
Mom ain't raised no hoe. Okay, I don't associate any behaviors that I display that are hoe-like.
The generation before us and the generation before them, they didn't talk about it. They just came home with a side baby. So now you're dealing with a side baby or a woman on this side of town, and next thing you know, you gotta accept them, and that's your cousin when they really.